This is the politics of AI filmmaking. Special report.
Artificial intelligence has become one of the most misunderstood conversations in Hollywood. And Ben Affleck may be one of its most misunderstood voices. Mention AI, and many people immediately assume one thing, that actors, editors, and filmmakers are about to be replaced. But what if one of Hollywood's most recognizable filmmakers has been arguing for something very different all along? Because after Netflix acquired Ben Affleck's AI company, InterPositive, many headlines focused on the technology. I think the bigger story is what Affleck has actually been advocating. And it may not be what many people believe. When discussing InterPositive, Ben Affleck didn't describe replacing actors. He didn't describe replacing directors. He didn't even describe replacing filmmakers. Instead, he talked about removing the technical work that often slows productions down: wire removal, reframing shots, relighting scenes, enhancing backgrounds, the countless visual tasks that consume enormous amounts of time and money. His argument wasn't that AI should make movies by itself. His argument was that AI should help filmmakers spend more time making movies. But he didn't stop there. Affleck argued that lowering production costs could actually create more productions, more episodes, more creative opportunities, and ultimately, more human work. That doesn't mean everyone will agree with his conclusion, but it is a very different conversation than simply saying AI should replace people. That's where the story becomes even more interesting. Because Netflix wasn't simply buying another software company, it was buying a workflow, a production pipeline, and perhaps a philosophy for how future productions get made. One built around integrating AI into the filmmaking process, not necessarily replacing the people making the films. The reported transaction, valued at up to hundreds of millions of dollars, including performance incentives, also brought Affleck's AI team inside Netflix. Suddenly, this wasn't just one filmmaker experimenting with AI. It became one of the world's largest streaming companies, investing directly in production technology. And that raises an even larger question. What does Netflix actually plan to do with it? Will these tools quietly improve post-production? Will they reduce visual effects costs? Will they accelerate television production? Or will they eventually reshape how entire productions are made? Those are very different questions than asking whether AI replaces actors. Because improving how movies are made is not necessarily the same thing as replacing the people who make them. One pattern keeps emerging across Hollywood. The industry's biggest investments aren't focused on replacing creativity. They're focused on removing friction, automating repetitive work, reducing production costs, shortening schedules, giving filmmakers more flexibility. Throughout the history of filmmaking, every major technological shift has automated something. Digital editing replaced film splicers. Digital cameras replaced much of traditional film production. Virtual production reduced the need for certain physical sets. AI appears to be continuing that pattern. By automating parts of the production process, rather than the creative vision itself, that doesn't guarantee every job remains unchanged. Technology has always transformed industries, but it does suggest the conversation is becoming more nuanced than simply AI replaces humans. Instead, the debate is increasingly becoming, what parts of filmmaking should humans spend their time doing? Whether you agree with Ben Affleck or not, it's worth understanding what he actually said, because sometimes the headlines create a very different story than the one people are actually telling. Netflix didn't just acquire AI software. It invested in a vision of how filmmaking itself might evolve. Maybe the future isn't about AI replacing filmmakers. Maybe it's about filmmakers deciding what work they no longer want to spend their time doing. Whether that vision creates more opportunities or fewer is a question Hollywood will answer over the next several years. And that may become one of the defining conversations of the AI era. If this special report got you thinking, subscribe, because this conversation is just getting started. You can also join the discussion on Substack at politicsofai.substack.com. That's where the conversation continues. I'm Marc Kimball. This is the Politics of AI Filmmaking.